The following is a selected video from masterthecontent.com, where you will find an extensive video library of lectures for a variety of standardized admission tests. We offer over 600 hours of detailed video lectures for a multitude of standardized tests. Use our interactive in-lecture table of contents to find specific topics of interest. Work through numerous in-lecture examples to help you internalize concepts. To learn more, visit masterthecontent.com. Your career, our passion.
We're going to look at the enteric nervous system. Now remember, when I introduced this system or this part of the nervous system at the beginning of the lecture, I actually separated it from the peripheral nervous system. Now, because most of the functions mediated by the enteric nervous system are, for the most part, unconscious or under involuntary control, you'd expect or you might think that the ENS would fall under the peripheral nervous system. But that actually isn't the case. The ENS actually functions independently of the pathways of the peripheral nervous system and the central nervous system, although it can still communicate to the central nervous system through the peripheral nervous system. Now, for that reason, it warrants us, or it gives us the permission to put the enteric nervous system in a category of its own as another major subdivision of the nervous system. And like I said, the ENS, or the enteric nervous system, is the brain of the gut. Now, it contains about approximately 100 million neurons, and it's actually responsible for regulating the activities of the gastrointestinal system. I know I've said that so much throughout this lecture. So how does it do this? It monitors and senses chemical changes in the lumen of the gastrointestinal tract. It also detects or responds to changes or structural changes in the walls of the gastrointestinal tract. For instance, stretching, it can detect those changes. It can also, after detecting those changes, then elicit the response of motor neurons, which then control the contractions of the smooth muscle in the walls of that gastrointestinal tract. They can also control the activity of endocrine cells in the gastrointestinal system. So endocrine cells will basically produce secretions, for instance, enzymes that aid in digestive processes. So it monitors the chemical composition of the lumen of the gastrointestinal tract, and it also monitors structural changes in the walls, for instance, of the small and the large intestines, and in the stomach as well, in response to those changes. Now, like I said, the enteric nervous system was previously considered to be part of the peripheral nervous system, more specifically the ENS, the autonomic nervous system, but obviously it has since then been shown to actually have reflex activity that's independent or separate from the ENS of the peripheral nervous system. Now, the last thing we need to talk about on the slide is the ganglia associated with the ENS, with the enteric nervous system. Now, there are two main types of ganglia. We have the Myenteric Plexus, also referred to as Auerbach's plexus, and we also have the submucosal plexus, also referred to as Meissner's plexus. So those are the two main aggregations of ganglia. Those are the two main ganglia, or two main aggregations of nervous tissue in the enteric nervous system that pretty much control most of its functions. So the Myenteric Plexus is actually found in the muscular layers of the gastrointestinal system, and it actually controls digestive tract motility, so the movement of food along the digestive tract. For instance, to move food along, it might stimulate contraction in the smooth muscle of the digestive tract to push that food forward. On the other hand, the submucosal plexus is actually located in the submucosal coat of the intestine, and it senses environmental conditions, so chemical conditions in the lumen of the GI tract, the gastrointestinal tract, and it also does another important function, which is it regulates blood flow to that region, or to the gastrointestinal region. A good example of that, for instance, after a heavy meal, your body's doing a lot of work digesting that food, breaking it down into simpler nutrients. Once those are absorbed, you need those nutrients to be carried to different parts of the body. So it makes sense that the submucosal plexus would increase blood flow to the gastrointestinal system following a heavy meal, to ensure that those nutrients are all transported to their appropriate locations. So that's a key function of the submucosal plexus. Last but not least, it also controls epithelial cell function, and that's mostly related to its ability to stimulate the production of secretions such as enzymes to carry out the digestive process. Now, we have a picture on the